Before I tell you what happened that night, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video, because what you're about to hear might just remind you that sometimes closure comes in the most unexpected ways. I'm Ethan, and a year ago, my marriage ended in the ugliest way possible. Broken trust, sleepless nights, and words that could never be taken back. When Lena and I signed those divorce papers, I thought it was the last time I'd ever see her face. I promised myself to move forward, no matter how much it hurt. And for a while, I actually thought I did. But then, one cold evening, a year later, there was a knock on my door. And when I opened it, it was her, my ex-wife. And the question she asked me next left me completely speechless. After the divorce, I moved into a small apartment downtown. It wasn't fancy, just 2 rooms and a balcony that overlooked the city lights. But it was quiet, peaceful. For the first time in years, I could breathe without walking on eggshells. My days were simple. Work at the office, dinner for one, a book before bed. It wasn't exciting, but it was stable, something my heart desperately needed after all the chaos. Sometimes I'd find myself scrolling through old photos. Our wedding day, our first trip, our dog Max running through the park. Each picture was a ghost from a life I no longer lived. So I'd shut the phone off, pour a cup of coffee, and remind myself that pain fades when you stop feeding it. Lena and I hadn't spoken since the final hearing. No calls, no texts, no accidental run-ins. We'd become strangers again. And honestly, I thought that was for the best. Until that night. It was a Friday evening. I'd just made dinner and was halfway through a movie when I heard it. 3 soft knocks on my door. I frowned. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, my heart almost stopped. Lena stood there. Her hair slightly shorter, her face paler, but her eyes, they were the same. Those same green eyes that once smiled at me every morning. Now they just looked a tired, "Hey, Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Can I come in?" I froze for a moment. 100 thoughts raced through my head. Why is she here? Is she in trouble? What could she possibly want from me now? Still, I stepped aside. "Yeah, sure." She walked in slowly, like she was stepping into a memory she wasn't ready to face. The air felt heavy, thick with the silence of everything left unsaid. She sat on the edge of the couch, clutching her hands together. "It's been a long time," she said softly. "Yeah," I replied. "A year, I think." Her eyes glistened as she nodded. Then she took a deep breath and said, "There's something I need to tell you. It's about my father." That's when my chest tightened. Robert, her father, had always hated me. He thought I wasn't good enough for his daughter. He interfered in every argument, every decision, until our marriage started cracking under the pressure. He was one of the reasons we fell apart. Now hearing his name again felt like reopening a wound I'd worked so hard to heal. "What about him?" I asked carefully. She swallowed. "He's dying, Ethan. The doctors said he doesn't have much time left." Her words hung in the air. I didn't know what to say. Lena's voice broke as she continued, "He's been asking to see you. He says he needs to talk to you before he goes." I blinked, stunned. "To me? Why?" She looked down, twisting her fingers nervously. "He wants to apologize for everything, for what he did to us." For a moment I just sat there, numb. Robert? Apologize? The same man who once told me I'd ruin her life? The man who made me feel like a stranger in my own marriage? I almost laughed from disbelief. "I don't know, Lena," I said quietly. "I'm not sure I can face him again, not after everything." "I understand," she whispered quickly, tears forming in her eyes. I had to ask. It means a lot to him, and to me." I looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't the same woman I remembered. There was no anger, no ego, just sincerity, vulnerability, and regret. For the first time I realized maybe she wasn't here for herself. Maybe she was just trying to make things right before it was too late. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "When do you want me to go?" Her eyes widened in relief. "Tomorrow. He's at St. Mary's Hospital." "All right," I said after a long pause. "I'll go." When she left that night, I stood by the window for a long time. The city lights blurred as my mind replayed everything. Our fights, her father's harsh words, the moment she walked away. And now, this. Life had a strange way of dragging the past back to your doorstep. The next day, I stood outside room 204 of St. Mary's Hospital. My palms were sweating, my heart thudding like a drum. Lena was beside me, silent but steady. She gave me a small nod and I pushed the door open. Inside, Robert sat slumped in a chair by the window. The sunlight spilled across his face, highlighting how fragile he'd become. The man who once intimidated me now looked human. He turned his head slowly and smiled weakly. "Ethan," he said, his voice rough. "You came." I nodded. "Yeah, I did." For a moment, none of us spoke. The beeping of the heart monitor filled the silence. Finally, he said, "I've had a lot of time to think, too much time maybe, and I realized I was wrong." I frowned slightly. He continued, "I thought I was protecting my daughter by pushing you away, but I only made things worse. I hurt both of you, and I'm sorry." The words hit me harder than I expected. A year ago, I would have given anything to hear them. Now that I had, I didn't even know how to respond. I swallowed hard. "I appreciate that, Robert. I really do, but it wasn't all you. We both made mistakes." He gave a faint smile. "Maybe, but a father should know when to step back. I didn't, and I ruined something good." A silence followed, heavy but healing. For the first time in years, I didn't feel angry, just sad. Sad for what was lost, and grateful for what little peace we still had time for. Then he reached out his frail hand. "Can you forgive me, son?" Something in me cracked open. All the resentment, the bitterness, the pride, and it melted away. "I forgive you," I whispered, my voice trembling, and I meant it. Robert smiled, tears glistening in his tired eyes. "Thank you. You don't know what that means to me." He closed his eyes, resting back in his chair, a faint peace settling over him. And for a moment, the room felt lighter. In the weeks that followed, Lena and I spent more time together, not as husband and wife, but as two people trying to help a loved one through his final days. There were no awkward silences anymore, just quiet understanding. We'd talk about little things, her new job, my new hobbies, how life had changed, and strangely, it felt good, peaceful. When Robert passed away a month later, we stood side by side at his funeral. We didn't hold hands. We didn't promise to try again. We just stood there together as two people who had finally stopped hurting each other. After the service, Lena turned to me and said softly, "Thank you, Ethan, for coming, for forgiving him. I think he really needed that." I smiled faintly. Maybe we all did. She nodded, her eyes glistening, and walked away into the crowd. And as I watched her go, I realized something. Sometimes closure doesn't come with a kiss or a reunion. Sometimes it comes in silence, in peace, in finally letting go. A few weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Robert's lawyer. Inside was a small check, a modest inheritance, and a handwritten note that simply said, "Ethan, thank you for forgiving me. Use this to start something new. You deserve it." Robert, I stared at those words for a long time, not because of the money, but because of what they meant. Forgiveness. It wasn't for him, it was for me, to finally let go of the weight I'd been carrying for so long. That night, as I stood by my window, watching the city lights shimmer, I whispered to myself, maybe peace was never about forgetting the past, but learning to live with it. And in that quiet moment, I felt lighter than I had in years. If you've ever been hurt by someone, or had the chance to forgive someone who once broke your heart, I want to hear from you. Would you forgive them if they came back asking for peace? Tell me your answer in the comments. Because sometimes your story might be the reason someone else finally lets go. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video if this story touched your heart.